Story, as you recall, that Rab Mendel Futavas related to Rabbi Yoel. Remember the story so far? It was the first year in Russia. This is in Nevel, famous Chassidic town for generations. Ura Kavoidi has a pasuk go. I think one of the Rabbeim and bring both that pasuk on Nevel. It's an instrument, no? Ura Kavoidi, no? Yeah.
Or a naval beginner.
Or a naval beginner. The Chassidim of Nevel were renowned. That's where the Rabbi Saul Neveler. Yes, this was the first year, Tafresh Peites, 1928. So it came to Rosh Hashanah and came to Tkiyas. So there was like this natural, they didn't just flow into Tkiyas. Okay, Shofar. Next on the agenda of Rosh Hashanah. Far from it, the Chassidim were obviously very, very down that the Rebbe left Russia. So they began kind of to fabring. And it was a reminiscence. One was describing the Tkiyas, remember the Tkiyas, and the other one, Gedenk the Maimorim for Rosh Hashanah. And so they spoke in words of longingly about the Rosh Hashanah experiences by the Rebbe. So amongst the Chassidim there was the famous legendary Chassid, the Zalman Moishe HaYitzchaki was his last name. And who was he? He was a Mendel Futterfass's Mashpia mentors. Mendel quoted him endlessly. And Zalman Moishe, he was a chassid in his own league. We told many stories about him. And his kashrus and his avoid everything was in a whole different level of emes and pnimius. Rabbi was talking about pnimius. And at the same time, he was intolerant because of that, of anything that smacked of externality of chitzonius. He was just intolerant. And he often had no filter, especially after mashke. And he was of himself too. I mean, sometimes he would berate himself by Fabreng, and it was. So he felt, Rabbi Mendel was telling a story to Rabbi Yoel. So he felt that, what was going on here was not coming from emes epinemius. So all of a sudden, it's so typical of him. So they're all talking about their experiences, the Maimer and the Tkiyas, and he bursts out. And I say in Yiddish, do you remember the latkes of Chavahenye? And burst into bitter tears. End of story. So this could be explained different ways, but I'll just tell what Rabbi Yoel says here. First of all, what was he talking about? He was talking about the latkes that he used to eat in this woman called Chavahenya, that she kind of had a larger house, and the Chassidim used to stay there when they'd come for Rosh Hashanah. So I'm telling you that Rabbi Yoel explains the story. He was saying, Zalman Moishe, that if something is very precious and internalized, then the most external details of that moment are precious to you. So says Rabbi Yoel, I'm going to translate. It's interesting. They spoke about these lofty things, Tkiyas and the Maimorim. And obviously this was real. They really missed and longed for those luminous days. But it didn't come from the depth Nobody burst into tears. Rabbi Zalman Moishe, on the other hand, had spoken about the latkes. But when he spoke about the latkes, he didn't say to criticize them. He was saying about the latkes, he burst into tears. Chavhenyes latkes, the Chavhenyes latkes of Rabbi Zalman Moishe was suffused with the deepest and pnimistic longing for the Rebbe, much more, says Rabbi, than their memories about the Maimer and the Tkiyas. It's one way to explain the story, certainly. Anyway, we'll leave it at that, Rabbi and Rabbi Mendel. All right, friends. The next story I see is going to say, on the other hand, Pnimius is lav dafka expressed in bursting into tears, but the other extreme. What are you doing about it? Pearl Mamashni tells a famous story tomorrow that expresses the other dimension. Everything comes in paradox. Okay, friends, have a wonderful day, everybody. Psudas Toivus.
Thank you.